Hello, back again on the Top Recap channel. This time I will tell a movie entitled Bully. Let's get straight into the storyline. The story begins by showing 3 students walking in the school hallway. These 3 students act like badasses and like to bully other students. Their leader is named Miles. They go to school just to annoy their friends, including Jimmy, a student they bully almost daily. Although often bullied, Jimmy continues to be patient and never fights them. Jimmy himself has friends named Andy and Bobby. They are friends and are often together when at school. Jimmy has a mother and father who love him very much. His father tried to help Jimmy to approach girls at school, but Jimmy felt insecure about his fat body. In short, Jimmy and his 2 friends were about to leave for school when Miles's group approached them. Bobby, who saw it, immediately left them. Here, the Miles group bullies them and extorts Jimmy for $100. Unfortunately, Jimmy doesn't have that much money, so Miles will discuss it again later at school. At school, Bobby is also not spared from Miles's bullying.
Hey, what's going on over there? I'm fed up with these assholes.
After class, Jimmy tries to cheer Bobby up and will treat Bobby to lunch. While in the canteen, Andy and Bobby saw Jimmy eating a huge portion, which surprised them. At that time, Andy and Bobby try to set Jimmy up with a woman named Adrian. The 2 friends know that Adrian has feelings for Jimmy. Not long after, Miles came to interrupt their lunch. Here, Miles asks for the $100 he had asked for earlier. Miles kept forcing Jimmy to hand over the money, making people in the cafeteria annoyed with Miles. A student reprimanded and kicked Miles out, but Miles rebelled and shouted at the student who reprimanded him. Unhappy with Miles's commotion, one of the big students approached him. Miles, who saw him, was frightened and immediately left the place. When Jimmy was about to go home, Miles intercepted him again. Miles was really upset about what had happened in the canteen. Miles still continued to extort Jimmy, but Jimmy, who felt he didn't owe Miles anything, refused. This makes Miles very angry, and he beats Jimmy. Hearing the commotion, the owner of a house in the area came out and kicked Miles out. This man was named Jackson. After Miles left, Jackson took Jimmy to the house for treatment.
Right here, son.
Here, it is revealed that Jackson is a former heavyweight boxer who has known the boxing world for decades. Hearing this, Jimmy is interested and wants to practice boxing as well. Jimmy asks Jackson to train him to beat Miles and stop the bullying at his school. Jackson agrees, but Jimmy will be trained by Jackson's friend because Jackson feels he is too old to train Jimmy. But before that happens, Jackson wants to ask Jimmy's parents for approval first. Jackson drove Jimmy back to his house. Upon arriving home, his mother was shocked when she saw the bruises on Jimmy's face. Here, Jackson explained that Jimmy had just been beaten up by his schoolmates in front of his house. Jimmy's parents then thanked Jackson for treating and driving Jimmy home. However, his parents did not allow Jimmy to practice boxing and believed he would be fine. But the next day, Jimmy suddenly came with a bruised face to Jackson's house with his parents. Here, they asked Jackson to train Jimmy. In short, Jackson took them to a boxing training camp owned by Jackson's friend Manny. At the camp, Jackson told Manny about Jimmy. After hearing Jackson's explanation, Manny is immediately willing to train Jimmy. Manny advised Jimmy to be serious in training later.
Always keep my feet up on the ground,
The next day, Jimmy goes to train at Manny's boxing camp, and Jackson escorts him directly. Here, Jimmy looks very serious about practicing.
Oh, okay. Now jab. Now we'll do the jab. Just jab. Hit it hard. Oh, that's it. Now when you throw it, turn it back.
After the training was over, Jackson took Jimmy back to his house. Before parting, Jimmy told Jackson that at school, he kept being asked for $100 by Miles. Besides that, Miles also often bullied him and his friends. After hearing Jimmy's story, Jackson suggested that Jimmy accept Miles's request and even promised to increase it to $200 as long as the due date was extended. Jackson hopes that when the due date comes, Jimmy will have mastered martial arts and beat Miles back without paying the $200. Miles came to Jimmy again the next day to ask for his $100. In accordance with the original plan, Jimmy asked for a tempo and would pay $200 as long as he was given 1 month. Miles finally agreed to Jimmy's offer.
Don't.
After school, Jimmy returned to the camp to practice. But today, Jimmy was not excited, and even the strength of his punches decreased from yesterday. This also received a reprimand from Manny.
Now come on. One time hard. Okay.
But Jimmy argued that he was tired and had no energy today. Then Manny told Jackson that Jimmy was not in the mood for training today. Here, Jackson understands that, and he will ask Jimmy directly. When driving Jimmy home, Jackson asked Jimmy why he was so discouraged today. Jimmy replied that he was now desperate and thought it would all be worth it. He was fat and weak, and there was no way he could fight Miles in a month. Jimmy is also now willing to be bullied for life. But Jackson continued to encourage and told Jimmy not to give up easily. Hearing this, Jimmy was finally motivated again. The next day, Miles's group visited Jimmy and his friend again. Here, Miles continues to bully Jimmy and his friends again. Miles also forced Jimmy to immediately give his $200. Miles also threatened that if Jimmy denied it, Jimmy and his friends would be beaten one by one. Seeing Bobby being beaten, Jimmy couldn't bear it and continued to comfort him. Jimmy saw his friends who continued to be treated like that, which made Jimmy even more excited to be able to beat Miles. After that, Jimmy returned to Manny's training camp. Today, Jimmy practiced so hard and was excited that he accidentally hit Manny. Jackson and Manny are amazed at Jimmy's enthusiasm today. The next day, in the school cafeteria, Jimmy tells Andy that Jimmy will beat Miles one day. Jimmy also tells Andy that he is now practicing boxing to beat Miles. Adrian suddenly comes up to them and tries to ask Jimmy out. Adrian invites Jimmy to a party held by their friends tonight. Jimmy, who felt bad about Adrian, finally agreed to Adrian's invitation. Long story short, Jimmy is now at the party. Here, they seem to like each other. They even talk about their experiences.
So your parents seem very nice.
Yeah.
But while they were enjoying their date, Miles's men suddenly arrived. Jimmy, who didn't want to be disturbed, kicked him out. It looks like Jimmy now has the guts to fight Miles's group. Time after time has passed, Jimmy is at the training camp. The more days, Jimmy is faced with a more difficult training portion than before. This is the hardest martial arts training taught to Jimmy, but Jimmy passed the training very well. Time continued to pass until Jimmy promised Miles the due date. Miles immediately met Jimmy and asked for the money after school. While in the school restroom, Jimmy gets acquainted with someone named Vinny. Vinny knew that something interesting would happen after school. Vinny also knew that Jimmy had been training at Manny's training camp. Jimmy wondered why Vinny could know all these things, but here Vinny only encouraged Jimmy. The conversation was overheard by Miles's men, and he immediately reported it to Miles. Knowing this, Miles hatched a cunning plan by calling someone called Glassjaw. This was, of course, to teach Jimmy a lesson. Finally, after school hours ended, Jimmy approached Miles, who was waiting for him. Jimmy explained that he would not give the $200 and invited him to duel. Miles said that he had to face someone named Glassjaw before Jimmy fought him. But as Glassjaw was walking towards them, someone suddenly grabbed him.
Time to say bye.
It turned out that the person who held Glassjaw was Vinny's man.
It's not nice to say fairy.
Then, there was no other way but for Miles to duel with Jimmy. Finally, the duel happened.
How much trouble you can get in?
At the start of the fight, Miles managed to knock Jimmy down, but Jimmy immediately got up and beat Miles back. A frustrated Miles tried to get his friends to help. However, Jimmy is not alone. Jimmy's friends also help Jimmy. Until, in the end, Miles was defeated. Here, Jimmy asks Miles to quickly realize and no longer bully others because they are all friends. Miles tried to get up but failed. Until in the end, Miles could no longer fight Jimmy. The incident made the national news, which of course, spread throughout the city.
Right. I lost my appetite.
Jimmy's parents, who knew about it, were very proud of Jimmy. And in the end, Jimmy and his friends are the school's good-hearted heroes. And the movie is over. Don't forget to click subscribe, like, and comment.